You have met this person before, maybe once, maybe only briefly, but you remember them. You are not entirely sure why. They did not say the most. They did not demand your attention. They did not perform or impress or try to make you feel the weight of who they were. And yet, something happened when they walked in. The energy of the room shifted. Conversations quieted just slightly. Eyes moved toward them without being asked to. And when they spoke, even softly, people listened. Not because of their title, not because of their looks, not because of anything you could point to and measure, but because they carried something invisible, something that moved before they did and lingered after they left. That something has a name. We call it aura. And I want to tell you something that most people will never believe until they have lived it themselves. It is not a gift. It is not a mystery. It is not something you are born with or without. It is a construction, built deliberately, from the inside out, through a set of psychological principles so precise, so specific, that once you understand them, you will never look at presence the same way again. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will not just understand what infinite aura is, you will know exactly how to build it. Chapter 1. What aura actually is. Let us begin by destroying a myth. Most people believe that aura is about how you look, how you dress, how tall you stand, or how symmetrical your face is, or how expensive your watch is. These things are surface, and surface without depth is nothing but decoration. Real aura, the kind that moves people on a level they cannot explain, is entirely psychological. It lives not in what others see when they look at you. It lives in what they feel when they are near you, simply by existing. Not by speaking, not by performing, not by doing anything at all. This is why the most magnetic people in the world are not always the most talkative, not the loudest, not the most expressive. Often they are the opposite. Psychologists who study social influence have identified something called presence transference, the phenomenon where a person's internal psychological state radiates outward and is unconsciously absorbed by the people around them. Your nervous system is, in the most literal sense, contagious. When you are anxious, people feel it, not because you told them, because the microsignals your body sends, the slight tension in your jaw, the shallowness of your breath, the way your eyes move, communicate directly to the nervous systems of everyone around you. That is the foundation of infinite aura, not confidence performed outward, stillness cultivated inward. Chapter 2. The psychology of being magnetic. Now I want to go deeper, because understanding that aura comes from within is only the beginning. The real question, the one that matters, is why some people's inner world creates gravity while others create static. The answer comes down to 3 psychological forces. The first is what I call self-containment. Most human beings are leaking. I do not mean this as criticism, I mean it as observation. They leak their need for approval in the way they laugh slightly too loud at someone else's joke. They leak their insecurity in the way they over-explain their decisions to people who never asked. They leak their anxiety in the way they fill every silence with words, as though silence itself is something to be afraid of. A person with infinite aura does not leak. They have developed what psychologists call a secure internal attachment, a deep, stable relationship with themselves that does not require constant external validation to remain intact. They do not need you to agree with them to feel certain. They do not need your approval to feel worthy. They do not need the room's attention to feel that they exist. This self-containment is felt by everyone around them as something almost gravitational, because human beings are wired, at the deepest evolutionary level, to be drawn toward stability, toward people who seem to have something they cannot be separated from. You cannot manufacture this. You cannot fake it for long. It must be built through the practice of returning to yourself, again and again, without needing the world to confirm what you find there. The second force is non-reactivity. Watch how most people move through the world. Someone says something provocative, they react. Something goes wrong, they visibly destabilize. Someone challenges them, they immediately defend, explain, justify. Every external event pulls a string, and they dance. The person with infinite aura has cut the strings, not because they feel nothing, That is not what this is. They feel everything. But they have developed the psychological gap between stimulus and response that the Stoic philosophers called the last human freedom. The freedom to choose how you respond to anything that happens to you. People do not know what to do with you, and what they cannot predict, they cannot control. There is a particular kind of power in being the calmest person in every room you enter. It is not aggressive power, it is not dominating power, it is the power of the unmovable, and it draws people like a current. The third force is intentionality. People with high aura do not drift through rooms. They do not fill time with noise or fill silences with empty words. Every action they take, even something as small as the way they pause before they speak, carries a quality of deliberateness. Psychologists have found that humans are extraordinarily sensitive to the quality of another person's attention. We can sense, almost immediately, whether someone is fully present or somewhere else entirely. When you look at someone and they feel, truly feel, that you are seeing them completely, they will not forget you. Chapter 3. The Mindset, Traits that Build Infinite Aura. Now, we build. Because knowing the psychology is not enough. The question you are really asking is, how do I become this? How do I cultivate these forces inside myself until they become not something I practice, but something I simply am? There are 5 mindset traits that every high aura person carries, not occasionally, not on good days, consistently, quietly, completely. Trait 1. They have decided who they are. Most people live in a state of perpetual identity negotiation. They shift their personality depending on who they are with. They change their opinions based on what the room seems to want. They are, in the truest sense, still searching for themselves. And that search is visible to everyone around them, even when it goes unspoken. The high aura person has ended that search, not because they are rigid or closed, but because they have done the deep, uncomfortable work of knowing, actually knowing, what they value, what they stand for, and who they are when no one is watching. This is called identity consolidation in psychology, and its effect on presence is immediate and unmistakable. When you know who you are, you stop auditioning for the room. You stop adjusting, stop shrinking, stop expanding to fill what you think others want from you. You simply arrive as yourself, completely, every time, and there is nothing more magnetic than a person who is entirely, unapologetically, at home in themselves. Trait 2. They want nothing from you. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive thing I will say to you today. So, hear it carefully. The needier a person is, the less attractive their presence. Not neediness in the romantic sense, neediness in the energetic sense. The subtle, constant need to be liked, to be validated, to be seen as impressive or smart or worthy. Most people walk into rooms with an invisible hunger, a need for something from the people around them, and that hunger, even unspoken, is felt. The high aura person has done the internal work to arrive full of their own sense of worth, full of their own direction, full of a purpose that does not require your participation to remain meaningful. And when you want nothing from a room, the room wants everything from you. This is not manipulation. This is not strategy. It is simply the natural consequence of a person who has learned to source their sense of self from within, rather than from the shifting, unreliable mirror of other people's opinions. Trait 3, they are comfortable with silence. Silence is one of the most powerful social forces that exists, and almost no one knows how to use it. Most people are terrified of silence. It feels like exposure, like absence, like something that needs to be filled immediately before anyone notices the gap. And so they talk, they explain, they fill every quiet moment with words that dilute rather than strengthen. The high aura person treats silence like a room they own. They pause before they speak, not from hesitation, but from the quiet certainty that what they say is worth waiting for. They allow silences in conversation to breathe, not filling them, not rushing to rescue anyone from the discomfort, because they understand that silence, held with confidence, communicates more than most words ever could. There is a reason we describe certain people as having a commanding silence. It is because silence in the hands of a settled person is not emptiness, it is weight. Practice this. Deliberately, consciously. Practice saying less than you feel the urge to say. Let your words be rare enough that people lean in to hear them. Scarcity creates value in economics, in conversation, in presence. Trait 4. They have a private world. No one can touch. Every person with infinite aura has something the world cannot reach. A practice, a discipline, a private interior life that exists entirely independent of external circumstances. This could be a philosophy they live by, a creative pursuit that belongs only to them, a daily ritual of solitude in which they return to themselves and remember, without needing to be reminded, what they are building and why. Psychologists call this self-complexity, the degree to which a person's identity is multidimensional and internally resourced. People with high self-complexity are remarkably resistant to being destabilized by external events because their sense of self does not rest on any single external pillar. When your identity lives inside you, not in your job title, not in your relationship, not in the approval of the people around you, nothing the world does can take it from you. And people sense this. They sense the person who cannot be diminished, who cannot be flattered into compliance or criticized into collapse. The final trait, and perhaps the deepest one. The high aura person is not in a hurry. Not because they are passive, not because they lack ambition, but because they have aligned themselves with a timeline that extends far beyond the immediate moment. And that alignment makes them immune to the small urgencies that keep most people in a constant state of reactive anxiety. When you are playing a long game, truly playing it, not just saying you are, the provocations of the short game stop having power over you. Someone disrespects you. The short game person reacts. The long game person files it, learns from it, and moves on without breaking stride. Patience at this level is not weakness. It is the most aggressive statement of confidence a human being can make. It says, without a single word, I know where I am going, I know who I am, and I have all the time I need. There is nothing more powerful than a person who cannot be rushed. I want to end with honesty. Everything I have shared with you today is true. The psychology is real. The principles are real. The transformation they produce, when applied consistently and with patience, is real. But I will not pretend that it is simple or fast. Building an infinite aura is not a weekend project. It is not a habit you install in 30 days. It is the slow, demanding, deeply personal work of becoming someone you have never been before. It will require you to sit with discomfort that most people run from, to stop reaching for the validation that most people cannot live without, to build an inner world so solid, so complete, so genuinely yours, that the outer world can shake without moving you. You are, in the most literal sense, building the person, slowly, quietly, without needing anyone to see it. A stillness that does not need the room's approval to exist, that does not expand or contract based on who is watching. That simply is, steady and complete and entirely unshakably yours. That stillness is your aura, and once you have built it, nothing in this world can take it from you.